Alright, so it is the day before Thanksgiving, and kind of like last Thanksgiving when I was working on the XS, I had the turkey all ready in the oven bag and shit, sitting on top of the bike, and I hadn't even taken it apart yet. But now I've gotten pretty much everything I needed ready for. I haven't cleaned up the wheels yet. I got the front wheel cleaned, but I mean I gotta clean the rims and the spokes and shit. But I got the fender ready to go. I ground out the bottom of it and I sprayed a wrinkle coat in it. That's fucking awesome. And the paint is all, or the frame is painted and it's been curing for over a week in the house. It says it takes about 7 days. And I got the center stand, and the first thing I do is I put the center stand on. I figured, I mean, I got high expectations for a couple clips I've taken, and I haven't even made videos. I'm a lazy ass, but I figured I could just take a quick little, whatever of like each part that I put on as I assemble an entire bike, because I don't think some people probably think it's overwhelming, what it takes to put together a bike that's been completely disassembled. And like the thing is completely bare. But just so you know what I did with this, you can see it's really nice and shiny. I've had really good luck with it, and this is something that I've tested. And if you bash anything like powder coat, it's gonna put a ding in it. This ear will not chip off, but it'll scrape off if you really fuck it up. Epoxy paint and this Duplicolor wheel gloss clear coat. These two in combination, you can spray this on, give it like 15 minutes, let it get dry. It goes matte, and then as it goes on shiny, and then it turns matte after it dries. You can hit it with the heat gun. I got the heat gun down there. I leave it hanging from this right here, and I just spray it while it's hanging here, and I heat gun it at the same time. Just because it's a little cold in the garage. It says what temperatures it wants to be done in. But the wheel gloss makes it nice and fucking shiny. And this stuff is actually good enough to resist gasoline. So that to me is the most important part. Besides the fact that it's shiny and makes it look really nice. I mean, this fucking thing looks like it's brand spanking new, and I didn't do the greatest job of hitting all the parts. I mean, I do what I can in my light in here, and I only had a couple of drips on one side. But any part that I didn't get good enough with the black, at least it's got a good thick clear coat on it. And I might, hit a couple more spots in here again, and I didn't get in there deep enough because I was spraying upside down at that point. It's already getting a little dusty. But I think my center stand parts, what the fuck did I do with them? I put them in a bag. Here they are. Here's all the parts I need for the center stand. I will dump them out. This part right here has a big well in here for grease, and you're supposed to grease the piss out of it. I will grease the shit out of it and throw it in there, and I'll try to remember which direction it goes, and I'll bolt it down. But center stand first. Just to let you know, I soaked the rubber that protects I guess it kind of protects the muffler or something on there, I soaked it in my wintergreen miracle method or whatever, and I'll put that on there a little better maybe. Oh, no, alright, it's going on there just fine. Well, I lifted up the center stand anyway. I know it goes like right fucking there. I'm cool with having grease like on everything. I like having grease everywhere because to me it's just, it stops rust if I scratch anything. And so I greased up like everything, even those little things where the spring hook's on too. I'm gonna fucking get another dab on the part that goes on here because there was no paint on that when I originally did it. Like, I put grease on these surfaces, I put grease on these surfaces. I'm gonna put it everywhere whenever I get around to it. I don't care that it collects dirt. That's not my deal. My deal is preventing the rest. And I haven't put the bolts on into here to tighten it down, because frankly you really don't need to. It's not going to go anywhere. There's a cotter pin on this side, but to let you know, when the center stands like this, that's when you put it on. If you're wondering like how the fuck do I get the spring on it when I got my, obviously you probably took it off of the bike when it was up on the center stand or whatever, and you're like, damn, that was a bitch. Well, if you have it upside down, Now the reason why that doesn't want to fall off when you normally put it down or put it up, out of the way when you're not using it, is because the little bumper is going to go boop and hit somewhere around here, and it doesn't start losing tension until about like way beyond here. But it works. That's how it works. So I'm going to put the bolts in there and go on to the next part, which would probably be greasing up this shit, and fuck, I gotta clean these things off a little bit more before I stick them on. But I I replaced the fork seals because they were leaking profusely, of course, and I put some Loctite in the bolts that hold them in the bottom, and I was kind of surprised they weren't Allen bolts. They must have changed that later on. But at this point, I can flip it over, and I think it won't fall over. I might maybe stick some blocks underneath it, but I'll just support it in some way to get the head up, and I'll grease the shit out of them and stick the bearings in them. These are let's see. This is for the swing arm. There's the little rubber that holds the grease in, because I think you can inject grease into it. This goes over it to protect it some more. And these are the bearings that go into the center stand, or the swing arm. You can't really miss what side it is that they go in on. These go into the part that's like right about here, that's the part of the swing arm. And you can tell because one's longer than the other, and you can't mess up what side it is. I think that these go over this, like that. I think that's how they go on. Yeah, something like that. Oh yeah, that one's cracked. Oh well. So, moving on. Alright, I flipped it over. I got some grease into the top and into the bottom. I just braced it like that. I obviously haven't tried putting the forks on yet, but I got the parts for the forks cleaned up. These are some of the sleeves. They go on this way, boop, down. They are literally the last thing. This right here is kind of like the seal for the top of the seal. It's like, I guess these are their dust boots from the early 70s. This is a 71. These are here, go at the very top of the headlight bracket, and these right here, this is actually the gauge mount, and what they did is the top of the stanchions is the bolt that holds on the fucking mount, which is totally different. There isn't anything on this right here that comes off to hold the fucking mount, and this is the only thing I'm not going to paint, because to me that looks fine. It looks a little more vintage. Even the rubbers on it were good. It was a pretty good bike. But the way I believe this goes is, I think that goes upside down. I flip it, I greased them and stuck them on, and that goes onto the top. And then I believe I should have 14 bearings in the top and the bottom. I think I counted them. I'm going to grease the hell out of this and stick the bearings up into it first, and then slide this up it, and then get that on top. I'm going to have the bolt ready for it too. But I'm going to grease the hell out of this, and maybe I'll stick the bearings to this. I don't know. Alright, so I decided that was the way it goes, because this cap is not going to hold anything else down. I believe, 17 or 18 in the bottom, and I think 17 in the top. It was just enough to fill the space. This one was too full, and this one right here had one more little gap right there. That little bit's a gap I think is okay. But the grease holds it into place. You gotta use some grease, lots of grease. Well, a fair amount. And I greased up the bottom of this so that the bottom sides of those get packed in, and I smeared grease all over this because it's going to be stuffed into the triple tree for years, and you know, if it's covered in grease, it'll be protected and stop it from rusting. And I got these ready. Oh, not ready. Gotta clean it off. Hold on. This is what I do for at least maybe 20 hours or something like that on every bike. And as always, put a little bit of grease on it. I'll keep it nice and shiny. I'll do that to the washer, which I did not clean. And whatever's on my fingers is good enough for this, because it looked pretty damn clean to begin with, and it's probably coated in fucking WD-40. Alright.
So did you see your grandfather as a kind of alternate version of Robert Moses?
Yeah, he certainly was. His values were almost polar opposite, diametrically opposed, however what you want to put it, to Robert Moses. A lot of my grandfather's ethos and values come through the character that Willem Dafoe plays in the film. Willem Dafoe plays the brother.
Willem Dafoe's shit.
Of this sort of dark and powerful developer, city planner. And
oh, right. Now it's gonna. You didn't have that brace there. Some people put a weight on the back. I'm like, that's fine.
And to think about the impact on
now you can use a wrench to get it started. I don't have the fancy fucking tool. Oops, why not? Crescent wrench is awesome. Plopper do. Oh, come on now. Am I forgetting something? Oh, that's right. This holds on that. I'm retarded.
People told he was crazy. You can't make, a vital marketplace out of these parts of the city. And he pushed people over and over again and kind of brought life back in.
Next it'll be clean these off, slide them up in with the dust boots. Oh my god, I forgot about the springs that go in it. I'm not going to do anything to them. Just shove them back in there. They're completely covered and they're not going to get any better or worse. Maybe I'll just clean them off and shove some grease on them. I think they went in this way. Oh no. The guy say the other way? No, I'll do them this way. Because I was confused because one was in this way and the other one was in that way. I don't know what fucking retard does that, but whoever owned this bike must have had them apart at least once. Fucking weird. Alright. Okay, so I did put the springs under the grinder a little bit, and I rubbed them down with grease, and I cleaned off the forks. I am going to wait, however, because I just painted the clear coat on the headlight bracket and the nice little covers that cover up the springs, and they were still a little tacky. They were out here in the cold for just 24 hours, and they need to be inside and they need to cure for a little bit. So I'm gonna go home and see my parents tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, and we'll continue this when I come back, because I'm gonna have a long weekend. See ya. Alright, so it's the day Saturday. I came back from Thanksgiving, visited my mom. She's really cute. Ate a bunch of turkey, fell asleep, watching a movie, watched another movie, went to bed, came home. Came home, and I was like, yep, I want to work on the bike. It's my time now. I got 2 whole days off to do that. And I was a dick, and I put the fucking thing together. Here's the diagram. Because I wasn't sure about how the forks go together, because I just ripped the bastard apart, and I knew I could look it up later. The real trick was, the forks, I put fluid in them and then pulled the stanchion all the way up, and had to kind of, I put the nub back on it so it could hold some of the pressure. I want to stay up a little bit, and I just wiggled them in, and they weren't too tight, even though I got some pain in there. They were fine. The sleeve right here goes with the rubber side up, so that the side that has there's a I don't know, there's a spacer to it that it's lower on one side. The lower side goes down, and so there's a little seat of rubber up. And that spring that had the plastic sleeve on it, the sleeve goes at the top in the diagram, if you noticed. And then so you put this on it over the spring, get it in there just enough so the stanchion's right about there, and then fit it in, and then work it way up. And then what you can do is you have to take this off. I had to take this back off. You weren't going to get this in there and like squeeze it in and do whatever with this on it. You know, this just wasn't going to work. So this part had to come off, and then I had to take this back out again, the bolt, because it holds it down onto the top of the triple tree. But it was super fucking easy. Just put the rubber spacer on here, and then set that on top. I push in the real rubber grommet, and then I had actually had to pull, before I put this on, I had to pull up the stanchion as far as it would go. I sat on the frame and pulled it up and just tightened down the bottom nut so that it was up as far as it would go, and I just hoped that it was in the right spot, and it was. And so I got it. I had this on. I slid this on over it after the stanchion was locked in as high as it would go, and then I did the same thing to the other side, and then tamped that down. Got these bolts on with the bracket that holds the gauges, and everything was good. It was relatively super fucking easy, because with modern Hondas they got the spring inside the stanchion, and this one's got the spring protected underneath here. And I ground it, I greased it up, I pissed off my neighbor because I was running the fucking grinder at like 8 o'clock. I don't know why anybody would be... But his kitchen's right attached to my fucking garage, so I can understand if it's right on the wall or whatever. So what I had done this morning is I reattached the fender, got all the bolts in the spot, and I was like, why is this screw not working there? Oh, that right there's for the brake stay. The brake stay is on there. And it's got a bigger bolt. I think that's the bolt that goes into the fender, I think. I don't know, I'll figure that out soon enough. But I spent some time with some steel wool and some WD-40, and I got my rotary tool in there and cleaned it all up. So this looks like really fucking nice. Actually, the tire on it, I realized, is kind of shit. It's got some dry rot on it, but I'm thinking I'm going to sell it to some guy, he's going to ship it overseas, and those fuckers will have loads of money to put brand new tires on it. I don't even need this thing to pass inspection, but it will, and if they don't notice there's any dry rot on it. Because I think it's super cool that the fucking thing wasn't inspected since 1995, and I'm gonna have it, you know, on the road essentially in December. I think I might even sell this thing before I ever ride it. I don't really care. But those forks look good enough to me. You know, I just polished them off with a little bit of gasoline that was on the rag that I had from fixing my snowblower. And the fork oil that goes in them, I looked it up, and I have maybe I'll post it on the screen. It said what basically you should put in it, and it said 6.9 ounces for a K3, because this is a 71, which I believe is the K3. And I got about 7 ounces in each one of them, and they held, you know, they don't leak. I just put brand new seals in them, and now it's going to be time for me to get the old axle in it, and there's really not much to it after that. I just needed the front wheel on to hold it up so it stops falling over. See, I got the block of wood underneath it, and the bitch wants to fall over. The next step will be the back wheel, which I still have to do some cleaning on. These tires were brand new. Like, I feel really bad for this bike because it shit the bed on the guy probably right after he got inspected in '95 in August. He probably rode around and then didn't start up next winter, and then he's like, shit, I burned the fucking rings, you know. Dickhead. Alright. But I'm only taking a guess at which direction this goes. It probably goes like this, because that shield probably does that. Well, I'll stick it in there and we'll see how that goes. So, one thing I would point out, you can put the axle on before you even try to get it up into there, and I was having some trouble getting it aligned, but the thing is that it's just a little bit snug, because the fender doesn't hold it perfectly. It kind of squeezes it a little bit, which is a good thing. But the bushing goes, you squeeze it into the seal a little bit, and I had to take my little, after I got this side right here to settle on this side, so that it just lines up right there. With this thing right here screws on, I didn't tighten it on super tight. In order to get this side right here, I had to just go like this, just to kind of push it out a little bit, and then it fell into it. Alright, first mistake. In order to get the brake stay to reach, it's not going to reach there. This thing right here hits that. I got to pull the wheel away again and get it lined up. So I'm a dumbass. Amongst the confusion, I was holding it one way and then I must have held it the other way, and I put this on the wrong fucking side. That's supposed to go over there. And that's because this is the bolt hole that I want to use, I think, or maybe this one. It might be the bigger one. I gotta take off the wheel and then take out the fucking fender. Fuck me. Alright, after flipping the fender around, because I was a dumbass and didn't realize it was on the wrong way, I can't say it fit in there any better except for the bolt hole for the last thing, which was the brake stay, was a little bit bigger, so it fit. And I noticed that the brake stay has a notch in it, which I assumed was pretty good for avoiding hitting the brake mechanism. It probably didn't even need to be there, but if the brake went like all the way, it might actually touch it or get close. And I saw the little wear marks on there where the lock, you know, pinch nut, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to bend them yet, or I should, but before I make sure everything's all good, I'll do one of my last inspections to make sure things like, you know, cotter pins and lock nuts are on there and right and shit. So this here is, that's fucking sweet. It'll pull on it, it'll connect right there. I guess I'm on to the fun stuff like cleaning the back wheel. I'm looking into my swing arm situation. Oh great, my light just decided to tune out. So it's all painted and shiny, I don't want to fuck it up. And I also have to remember to put the chain on through here because it has a link in it, a master link, but I don't feel like taking that off just to put it on to, yeah, so I'm going to leave it dangling there and I'll put a rag over this to protect it. But I deduced that this probably goes on like this so that it can be like that, and that this is probably on the outside for preventing the bolt or whatever from getting on there, torqued on there too hard. Or maybe I should look that up. I'm pretty sure that's the side it's got to be on. So, and that means that I had these little rubbers, which look like seals that probably hold in the grease there. That right there protects it like that. And so the bearing goes in it. Boop. I just got to lube it up. And then this cap right here goes on this end. It goes, and it's got a little rubber gasket right there. So I got to load them up with grease. And I'll put them back together. Okay. I have the nut that is the swing arm axle. I got the bushings, or the rubbers, I put the one over that, and I think the flat side might be to try to avoid the motor just a little bit because it gets close to there. So that's kind of what I did with it. And I forgot to grab the chain. Whoa, probably should have wrapped around it. I cleaned off the bastard like a month ago with freaking gasoline and shit, and I soaked it and left it in this bag, soaked it in oil. So it is greasy as fuck and rust free and beautiful. Probably like at least 20 years old. Ooh, you know, I know it's not the original because the original would have had a rivet and not a master link. Now if it's going, I'm thinking this is the master link. If it's going, I want it on this way. Fuck, where'd the master link go? I want it on so it pulls out. I don't think it really matters because, you know, I don't have a choice because I know that I want the master link on this side because that's how you put them on. You won't put the chain on with it going backwards, you know, in the bike. Got a gas can over here just to try to support this. We're gonna find out if this is gonna work good or if this is just gonna fucking fail. I should get another rag like right down here. Maybe this is my problem. That gasket that I put on there. Maybe. Fuck, now I gotta back this up. Boop, there it goes. There it goes. This is beginning. This is beginning. This is why I had to do it. I feel like I'm fucking wrangling a goddamn pig. I had to just get it on there and squeeze it in there. Just like this. Yeah, I think I'm almost there. Holy crap. I thought I fucked the little rubber up on the other side, but I managed to fix it. And then I pushed the rod through and it just squished the bearing right out the other fucking side. So, there, luckily that fits in there pretty nice still. And now, I don't think I marred up anything too bad. I'm probably gonna have a bitch of a time getting this rag off of here. And I bought a special socket just for this one. It was a 21 millimeter, I believe. I think it was 20. Yeah, 21 because I didn't. Or no, 23. Fuck, I don't remember. Fuck, I'll find it here. I still got it. I bought a Carly 23 millimeter because I owned a 22 and it wasn't big enough. I don't remember that. First snowy, icy storm of the season. It's Sunday, and I got the rear fender ready because it's way easier to put in the rear fender without the tire on. And you know, I just scrubbed that down a little bit. That's not going to get too much better. And I don't feel like painting that because I don't feel like taking it off because it means fishing those wires through that fucking thing. That would not be fun. I don't feel like getting into that. And you know, call me lazy if you want. Lazy. But it still look good like that. But I've got a side issue. Oh, son of a bitch, cover this thing up. My neighbor banged on the fucking wall because unfortunately my garage is attached to his kitchen, and it's because I got my bench grinder on this bench, which is attached to the wall. So I need to come up with a different game plan and maybe attach it here because this thing wobbles like a motherfucker, but it's kind of separated from the wall, and I don't think it's gonna fall apart. I just might want to shore it up a little bit. It's fucking shitty. So I'm gonna find a piece of wood, bolt it to the wood maybe, or screw it to the wood better, and then stick it out into this bench. I'm gonna have to move my fucking pears and shit. I'm gonna make a mess over here. Fucking all this shit, my fucking tools. God damn it. You ever work on a bike, try to get something bigger than a one-car garage. Okay, so I mounted my bench grinder over there, and it's much more quiet. As long as I'm not rattling my neighbor's wall, I'm pretty sure he should be okay, you know. And then it's noon. It was like 8 o'clock last time. He was probably trying to cook dinner or something like that, and shit was rattling on his fucking wall. I didn't know it was doing that. But anyway, I got the fender ready to go on there, and I'm trying to remember how the fucking mounts on it, because I think that there was this little thing right here that's this rubber, and I kind of remember it bumping up to or something on there. Anyway, like the toolbox that mounts onto the battery box, but I think I'm gonna try to get See how it's crooked like that? Whatever. Whatever. Alright, moving. So I got my pretty little battery box that I just painted. It's all nice and cute. And I realized that that was what holds it onto there. And so I'm glad that this right here kind of tilts a little bit. I just don't know which way it's gonna go, so I can still get it in there. I might need to undo the. Yep, that's what I did. I did that backwards. So, off with those again. Okay, so you just missed it, but I fucking dropped the goddamn Fender. And there's the first scratch in the swing arm right there. Yep. God damn it. Motherfucker. Oh well. So, I'm on to, the fender is on, and I'm going to try to get that fucking wheel in there. I just got to grease up the old axle there.
Is in large part insignificant, but it is completely overwhelmed.
I also need a fucking hammer.
On our website, radiolab.org. Also, you can subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah, because that ain't going in there. So easily. Alright, this is some struggle. I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna try to do this shot. We'll see if it fucking falls over. But you can probably see right about there. I got the axle to slide through real nice. Oh yeah. I needed this on. I found just the right piece of wood that happened to fit. Oh, screwdriver fell out, but that's okay. Yay. That's all nice and greased up. Yeah, baby. Yeah. These little adjusters aren't going to do nothing right now. Not until I get that motor on and I figure out where the chain is. But as it stands, I could probably roll this bitch around a little bit, and I'm gonna have to move the bike over there to get the motor in from the left side, because I think that's just the way it needs to go. So I haven't carried the motor in yet, but I'm still preparing to get it into the bike. I scooted it over to this side because the left side I kind of know from experience in some video I saw or whatever that that's the way it goes. Now I like to do this thing, a lot of guys they'll take like foam or cardboard and wrap it around there and try to protect it and shit, you know. What I do, or what I've done, is I've taken this Temflex friction tape and it's cold out here, so it doesn't want to stick, but you can get that on there like that, so when it's sitting on the rails it won't fuck up the rails. Now how am I gonna get it to stick? The old heat gun. Alright, so that's that. I might put a little bit on this too. I don't know. We'll see. I have gone and just fucking wrapped that shit with tape. I can take it off later or leave it on for a nice little trail look. And I want grease around these points because I don't like to scratch shit up like that.